Mm. Good morning, dude bros. How are we doing this morning?
Living the dream. Living the
Yes,
dream.
sir.
What's up, guys? Let's welcome everybody in. This is the Dude Bros, and this is Sports Ball Talk. We like to get into the pregame show here nice and early before everybody else. As always, we got the dude over here on this side. We got GB right down here, and to my diagonal here, we got the Rista. How are we doing, guys? You ready to hop into some picks?
Let's go.
Let's talk about some games then. Let's jump right into the first big one. I like this Oklahoma game. I think it's going to be good. Why don't you lead me off here, Risa? What you thinking?
I think this could be a pretty close game. I think I do like Oklahoma in this with Missouri's quarterback banged up. That's the only reason I don't pick an upset with this. Uh, I, Oklahoma, huge win last weekend over Alabama. I'm still not super excited about their offense at times. Their defense played really well, turned Alabama over 3 times in that game. But even off of some of those turnovers, they were ending up with field goals. You'd really like to see them get touchdowns out of those drives in those situations. So if they get turnovers in this, I'd like to see them, go down there and finish the drive. I don't know. This offense has just been really wacky this year. I think they've thrown like 7 or 8 interceptions this year, which is not what you want to see out of your quarterback. I think he's only got 8 touchdowns, so they need to clean that up for sure. They can run the ball okay at times. Plus, I like Missouri's defense here. They got a pretty good one. They got some guys that can get to the quarterback, so that could also play a huge issue in this game.
We got some fast ends for sure.
Yeah, they do. Some of the best ones, I think, some NFL draft picks. So that may make a huge difference here. I just don't know what Missouri can do here with offensive wise, because I know they have a great running back and a great running game, but Oklahoma's strongest point is the run defense.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why another thing I don't like the matchup for them in this game. So, I'm going to have to go with Oklahoma here.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point, too. I mean, Ahmad Hardy is amazing, and he's had a really stellar season. But going up against a top 4 rush defense against Oklahoma, that's what it's going to come down to. Because as you said, Prabula got injured in that Vandy game earlier in the season, and Matt Zollers is taking over, and he is a true freshman, and he's absolutely going to experience especially in that Sooners environment, there will be mistakes. And I think the Sooners will capitalize. But you did also bring up a good point, too. The Sooners have really struggled to do the offense I think we're trying to expect from Mateer to produce. Now, with the Bama game last week, they had a heroic victory, some would say, on the special teams and defensive side. And that's what really was the deciding factor. So to be a team that is complete and going to go into the playoffs to stand a chance, that offense has to come out and put up some points these next 2 weeks.
I'm glad you said that because, one, I want to give you an update. They tightened the line even further. Now it is a 5.5 point game.
Oh, wow.
And they also raised the over and under to 43.5 points. I'm going to adjust my original predictions a little bit on this. And I'm fairly confident that this will be an under game for the reasons that you just put out there. Now, this is going to be in Norman. All roads to the playoffs go through Norman. There's that whole saying that you got there. But I think that is really going to only enforce the defensive power that the Sooners are bringing to the table. And I think they will shut down Mizzou handedly. The question is going to be, is the offense going to be able to get together and put enough points on the board? I think they will with the new line of 5.5 points. I think they cover it. I think this is a great game. I will, however, be rooting for the Tigers, even though I do not think they are going to win. I like the whole playoff shuffle if that happens.
Yeah, it would absolutely be a big mix-up. But I'm inclined to agree with most of the things all you guys said. This is a home game. This is a defense that just shuts down the run. It doesn't matter who it is or where it is. That's their biggest selling point. In our live show Tuesday, I said that they were going to cover that 8.5 because I thought it was going to be about a 10-point spread at the end, and I didn't think it was going to be an over game just because of all the defense that I'm expecting to see in this game. Mateer did not play well against Alabama. They squeaked out a win. There was a bunch of funky stuff there. I won't really. Nobody likes to talk about when Bama loses, but it
I think
wasn't this
everybody but
big.
Bama fans do.
But just for that, I don't see Oklahoma losing this game. There's too many clicks in their direction, especially it's a home game, and they're going to be some mistakes, just like GB said. So I still think they cover whatever the spread is as long as it's not over 10, and I still think it's an under game just because of all that defense. But like I said, I always like watching a good defensive game, and if Mizzou really shows up and it could be a good game, but I don't see any scenario where they win, because if they do, that's going to be a big shakeup in the playoff stuff. So it's going to be a good one to watch.
I will say the tickets on this, $25, and that puts it in the higher end tickets for the week. We only have 3 games that have a ticket price over $100. What is
If
happening?
you watch the show, we start out early in the week and we talk about ticket prices and stuff. And almost every single time we get to Saturday, these prices have dropped significantly.
Well, hold
So
on.
if
Week
you're
1
wanting
and
to
2,
go
they
watch a
increased.
game, well, that's fine. But if you're wanting to go watch a game and you're watching our show, just watch on Tuesday, see where they're at, and then watch on Saturday and see how far they fell. The point being is buy your tickets on freaking Friday, okay?
I think the point being, if you are let's say a guy who's wanting to do something with his guy friends, or maybe even if you have a cool chick and you're going on a date, it'd probably be cheaper to go to a football game. And that's hours and hours of live entertainment, not just the game, the crowd, the atmosphere, all of that. And if you can get in, like the Colgate game, if you can get in for $4, you are not going to get that level of entertainment anywhere else. I mean, go to the movies? No, I could go to 5 football games for that price. You know what I'm saying? Like, ridiculous.
Yeah, $25 is staggering to think that that's the price of a
For
huge
2
SEC
ranked
matchup.
teams. 2 ranked SEC teams, end of the season, playoff implication. Just crazy.
And what's funny on that point is I'm obviously a Bama boy down here in Alabama, and there's a really good high school not too far from me called Thompson, and it costs $20 to get into a Thompson high school football game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
That is
if you can
wild.
That's
go
a great
watch
point.
collegiate football for $5, go check it out. Your popcorn's going to cost more.
You think you could make a point of that? Maybe go talk to the school board there or something. Be like, hey, come on, let's lower those a little bit. But Thompson, they don't have a problem putting butts in the seats there. Granted, 100 of those butts are scouts, but
Well, they've been winning a bunch of national championships and been pumping out a lot of talent out of that school the past 10 years. So, I mean, it is what it is. They've built a whole program in a new school off of the money they made from football. So good for them. It's a part of the deal, man. But let's keep it moving here. I've been really enjoying watching these SMU Mustangs this year. They've had obviously the wonky stuff with the coaching and some little bit of controversies here and there. But they've pissed some people off this year, and I really like that. Somebody might have called an upset one day. I don't know, back in the day. I don't know. But I really like SMU. I think they're playing pretty good football considering the talent that's on the team, and as I mentioned just before, the coaching stuffs. But uh, they've got SMU favored in this game, and that was kind of I had to double take at that. So I did some peeking. I couldn't figure out why. So I would not touch this game as far as betting stuff. It could be one of the weird ones. Neither one of these teams are going to the playoff. That's kind of spent at this point unless there's some seriously wonky stuff the next 2 weeks. But I don't see Louisville winning the game. I'm calling SMU to win it, and that's about all I want to say. I don't like the spread. I don't like the over/under. I really don't like any of the stats on the game. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think both of these teams want to win. I think they're definitely trying to get a good bowl game, and they're trying to, I don't think either of these teams are going to be losing a lot of talent in the draft. We'll say that. So next year they might be even that better, and you want to keep that energy going from year to year. So like I said, this is one of my forget it games. I would not bet on any of it, but I do think SMU is going to pull out the victory. What are you thinking, dude?
well, if you would have asked me about 4 weeks ago, SMU was a very, very valid candidate to be in that group of 5 to kind of make it into the playoffs. But the loss to Wake Forest, that was what absolutely said, all right, y'all don't belong. And that's why you have Georgia Tech, Pitt, even Virginia ranked above them in the ACC. And it's, as you said, it's pretty much done deal. Even with all the wonky stuff that could happen, I still don't see them finding a magic way to slide into the spots. That being said, both teams are playing for better bowl positions, more eyeballs, better potential recruits. There's still a lot that matters in this game right here. Absolutely. I'm leaning towards agreeing with what you're saying will come out of this game here, because Louisville's kind of been not what they're supposed to be, we'll say.
Yeah.
The line has spread out a little bit more. SMU 4.5-point favorites now. Ooh. They're really thinking something's going to happen there. The over-under, however, has went down to 49.5 points.
Oh, wow.
So you might have different opinions on the over-under because of that. I think Louisville actually might squeak this one out, though. But this is a game that I'm not going to touch at this point. There's been too much weird stuff going on with it. And we have, I believe, the left guard saying that he's not going to play anymore in the season because he thinks he's going to the NFL, doesn't want to get hurt and all that, which I'm not going to hop on the soapbox too long, but it is way too early in the season for so many players across the board to be making this, and for teams that are not out of contention that could even still go to the playoffs, or, like I said, play in a really good bowl game. I mean, if I'm an NFL scout, if I am looking at what I want on my team and I see that, no, that's not what I want. I want someone who's grinding. I want someone who wants to win. I want someone who wants to showcase their talent, not someone who wants to play it safe, nurse whatever boo-boos they have, and slide in the shadows. But I'll soapbox.
Back to your change on the line and the over-under there. Earlier on Tuesday, I had Lashley and the Mustangs going all the way, covering the 2.5 points and being an over. I'm sticking with my over there, but now that the line is 4.5, that gives me some question marks, because I could see this being a field goal difference game. And I think that I'm still going to stick with the Mustangs here, but I think that they may not be able to cover that now, only at 3 points. Now, Rista, you didn't get to get on with us on Tuesday. What is your opinion on this? Are you jumping on the SMU bandwagon of me and Brian, or are you kind of leaning more towards the dude here with the Cardinals?
I think I would lean toward SMU here. I wouldn't be confident in that I could definitely see this going the other way. I do have a thought on some of these ACC matchups this year, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not, but there's been a lot of weird games this year with them, and I kind of wonder if it's them going coast to coast on the travel and the time differences and when they play.
We touched on that, especially when you have some of those games where it's a 3-4 hour difference, or even if you want to go latitudes too. If you're going from it was 75 degrees this morning and now it's 30, that's a big difference too.
I mean, you're talking about flying from Miami to Stanford or vice versa. I mean, that I don't know about y'all, but if I travel that far flying and I'm not doing nothing, I'm still kind of wore out when I get to wherever I'm going, much less play at a high-level football game. You know, I can only imagine.
So I found the trick to that. You want to always stay at that level of exhaustion and disorientation, and then you're never affected again.
But, you know, like I said, I don't know if that has anything to do with it here. The ACC has been really, for me, kind of hard to predict where teams are going to land. I think a lot of people are like that with them this year. I thought Miami was just going to be the end-all, be-all at the end of the year, and they've kind of tumbled a little bit. Clemson started off very high. They've also had a rocky season. Florida State even started off, you know, pretty high and then fell as well. So, and even the teams that beat some of those teams, you start hyping them up, and then the next week or two, they fall to somebody that you didn't think they were going to. So it's been really hard to predict.
Do you have a favorite at this point, Forrest? I know if you are to watch any of the big programs on the regular network shows or ESPN or anything like that, they still got Miami kind of being the question mark if it's going to the playoff or not. But if you're looking at the ACC standings, it's Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pitt, SMU, and then Miami, tied with Duke. So make that make sense.
It doesn't. I know Georgia Tech's got the record, and congratulations to them. I think they've been good. I think if Carson Beck doesn't throw a ton of interceptions in a game, I think Miami's the best out of that group. Now, when you turn the ball over a bunch and he does some things that are very uncharacteristic for his type of talent, I don't know what to tell you. But that would be my pick, I think.
Miami,
yeah.
I'm leaning heavy on Pitt.
Good.
Yeah, I was on the Pitt bandwagon pretty hard. I really like that freshman quarterback. The kid at 18 years old just seems to be so calm and collected and has such a talent, not just his legs or his brain, but he's got a hell of an arm talent. Watching the way he can release the ball from the weird positions he's thrown touchdowns, it's just, you don't see that kind of, it's like young Aaron Rodgers kind of stuff. Right.
Watch his eyes because he does his check downs.
Moves his
you're watching a pro quarterback, 3, 2, 1,
Yeah, you see him go through his progressions. You see him move linebackers. You see him move safeties with his eyes. He is doing elite level stuff as a freshman starting quarterback, and he took the original starter's job because he was just better. The coach saw him in practice, said, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna roll this way," and they made a change, went 5 in a row. They hit a little hiccup with Notre Dame. I'm so sick of Notre Dame. I'm sick of talking about them. I'm sick of hearing about them. And they've got them ranked above Bama right now. If you put the schedules side by side of who Notre Dame's beat and who Bama's beat, it's not even a conversation. It's just, and somehow they're ranked above us. It's bull crap. If you can obviously see, it's all this on the big stuff. And the fact that Bama's still top 10, that's fine. As long as they win out, we'll be fine. But Notre Dame doesn't deserve it. There's a team below them that should have a spot. I don't like it. They get to play an ACC schedule. They're not adherent to any of the ACC rules, and somehow they're always relevant. It pisses me off, But anywho, not
back
to
the ACC though.
Yeah.
We're going to definitely see with this Georgia Tech Pittsburgh game here that we're going to discuss in a few minutes. I think that will be this is the ACC championship, but we'll touch on that here in just a few minutes here because I know we have another big game that's coming up that I know Game Day is following intently as well.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a big deal. There's been kind of a divide on what's going to happen as far as the big name broadcasting's been talking. I'm not sure if the line has really changed, but when we did this deal, it was 9.5 points. If I had to guess, I'd say that spread has probably gone down. Okay. It's gone
and that's
up.
59.5 for over under.
Okay. Well, I'm sticking to my guns here then, because that means that the people aren't thinking the same thing I am. I think Oregon is going to win, cover, and we're going over. That's just because of the thing I just mentioned. I don't necessarily think that Oregon's a better team than USC this year. I don't think Dan Lanning has done all of the things he could do to make this program nice and shiny. I feel like he's been kind of kicking the can down the road this season, but that's my humble personal opinion. I like Lincoln Riley as a coach this year much more than Dan Lanning. So I don't think there's a big personnel difference in this game. I think both of these teams have some studs, and I think they have very comparable coaching styles, we'll say. I think one's a little bit better than the other, of course, at this point, but the fact that line didn't go down and the over-under didn't go up, that doesn't bode well for USC, I think. What are you thinking, GB?
Well, I think this game comes down to two important things. One is playoff implications. Right now, with current standings, USC's at a 20% chance to make it to the playoff, while Oregon's 87%. With a win, USC jumps from 20 to 70%. With a win for Oregon, it jumps to 97%. Now, flip side of that, if USC loses, they have less than a 1% chance to make it, while Oregon still has a chance at 61%. But I think the end of the day matchup, my second point, is going to come down to USC's offense versus Oregon's pass defense, especially because Oregon has not faced a top 10 passing offense all season. You want to know the team that had the best offensive or pass offense they've played all season? Take a guess.
Mary's School for the Blind.
Rutgers. Rutgers was the best pass offense they played all season, and they were 22nd. You'd think it'd be Indiana. They were actually 38th. So I'm calling USC with the upset. I called it on Tuesday.
Nice.
I'm sticking with it. I would like to see the Trojans pull out the win. I think as the line goes up, all eyes are pointing toward Oregon. That seems to be the story that they want to pitch.
Right.
I would love to see USC shake it up and break this up.
Yeah.
What about you, Rista? What are your thoughts here since we didn't hear it from Tuesday?
So I'll hit on something that you just said about the passing offense. And I had to look this up because I didn't really believe it at first. But USC has 2,800 passing yards compared to Moore on the Oregon side. He's got close to 2,200. I would not have guessed that watching some of these games. The running attack's been a little bit better for USC as well. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think USC's played a little bit more difficult of a schedule than Oregon has outside of the, Indiana game, of course. I think I want to go USC as an upset here. I could see it happening. I don't like that it's at Oregon. That's the only thing keeping me from that. But I know Oregon has also had a lot of injuries on their team this year, so that could play a factor in this. You know what? Screw it. I'll go ahead. I'll say USC upsets the Ducks today.
Okay.
50-50 split.
I would really like to see USC win. I think Oregon is going to win, though, for everything that GB outlined there. Now, I will say, as much as I would like USC to win from the kind of personal bias level, if I'm looking big picture, it actually benefits what I want to play out if Oregon still wins. If Oregon wins, you have them most likely playing Texas Tech in round 1 of the playoffs. I think the Red Raiders do that handedly, and then they would go. The winner of that would play the number 1 seed, which will more than likely be Ohio State. I think that Texas Tech, Ohio State would be a great game.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I would like to see. Now, if USC were to beat Oregon, yes, their chances of getting in the playoffs go up. But you know who else's chances go up? Notre Dame. So Oregon needs to win.
Yeah.
But we know Notre Dame's going no matter what, right? They could lose the next 2 games and they're still going to go. We're in agreement on that, correct?
I don't want to say that. As it is set up right now, they're supposed to play BYU, and then the winner of that would play Indiana. I think Indiana defeats both of them handedly, and that's one of those games where you're more justified in putting a 2-loss SEC team that maybe hasn't quite made the cusp in there, and I think you get a better game, more eyeballs on it too.
Yeah, I think anybody going up against Indiana this year is in a tough boat. But go ahead, Rista.
I was going to say one more thing about USC here because GB was bringing this up. If they win this, they have a pretty good chance to maybe slide into the playoffs there. But if they lose, they're done. If they lose, do you think Lincoln Riley that might start sealing his deal there? Because I think the guy's a great offensive mind. I don't know if he's
got an offer to go to Auburn already.
Oh, see, I mean, there you go. I mean, so if you lose this, do you think he maybe looks at other opportunities?
I mean, as a person from a Alabama State kind of homer, we'll say, I'm looking at poaching that coach, or maybe the Arizona State coach coming here. I think those would both be coaches that fit the scheme of what Auburn traditionally has, but in a more modern sense. And I think that is the best outcome for the state as a whole, to put out multiple football programs that can do something.
We need to keep Lincoln Riley the hell out of the SEC. You can preach up that crap all you want. We don't need Lincoln Riley over here mixing it up in the SEC. We got enough badass coaches over here screwing people over.
He didn't grow up with Daddy Saban. I don't like him.
He's just very good. I'd hate to have to go up against him every year in the Iron Bowl. That's a scary kind of thing. I'd hate to see him at Auburn. I mean, I'd love it for football, and I'd love it for the state.
Love it, you mean?
As a Bama fan, no, F that. No, stay over there. But that's just me being selfish, wanting to win another 17 natties in the next few years, whatever. But so yeah, I just to circle back, Oregon wins the game, and I hate to see it. I wish USC does win. I would cross my fingers that they do, just because I'm not a big Oregon guy. But yeah. Oh man, we were just talking about this freshman. That is that's a jump. I like this kid, but I like Haynes King more. Georgia Tech at Pitt. That is a humongous over/under, and I think it's justified. Because I don't believe in either one of these teams' defenses all that much, but I know for a fact that both of these offenses can score some points.
Well, they've pulled it down to 59.5 because the over/under betting, if you're looking at how it sprays out, more than 87% of people have been betting the under up until yesterday. So they lowered the under now to 59.5. The line's still the same at 2.5 points, but I think that they're trying to get some more parity when it comes to who's putting money down on which side, because Vegas makes the most money if 50% vote this and 50% vote that.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Continue, sorry.
I just like I was saying, I like both of the quarterbacks here. I think they're both studs. I think one's a little bit bigger of a stud, and for that reason, like I said in the pick show, I think Georgia Tech wins this game. I think it is a good game and a tight one, so I think they do just barely cover that the spread there, and I still think it's an over game. I think there's going to be some points just because of the lack of defense here. I think they both have really good coach. I watched the pregame with Pitt before the Notre Dame game, and the coach's pregame speech, and he was really he's got those guys. They are bought in. They are with him 100%, and I'm really excited to see what this freshman can do in the coming years. I think if he stays the course and they build a couple more people on that team with him, they're going to be deadly. And I think that's something to say. So, what about you, dude? What are you thinking on this one?
Well, I want to start by saying lowest tickets for this game are $128. That is the exact same price as the USC Oregon. So these two games are tied for second place in terms of ticket prices. And then there is a huge, like $70 drop to the next highest ticket price. The only game that ranks above this is California Stanford. And I don't understand that. But we won't touch that right now. We'll focus on this. I already told you I'm leaning heavier and heavier into Pitt on this, and I know the line says Georgia Tech has it. I really would like to see Pitt come out with the win here and bump themselves up. Although I think in the cards, it's probably not until next season that Pitt really becomes a powerhouse and makes their playoff run. But I think this will probably be the most entertaining game if you're looking to see points on the board.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier, I mean, this is essentially the ACC title game, and we're getting that now, which is exciting. I called on Tuesday. I'm leaning toward Pitt, unfortunately, winning, and I'm standing by that now. I would love for Georgia Tech to continue on here, have a good rest of their season, play a great game with Georgia, the outcome of which seems to be leaning toward Georgia as well, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Georgia Tech defense has been exposed. I think Pitt will absolutely take advantage of that. You saw the performance last week as Georgia Tech struggled to have any kind of defensive performance, and I think that'll be the theme for the rest of the season unless something drastic has happened. So I'm going to probably have to go ahead and stay away from calling one way or the other. Besides, I just think Pitt's probably going to pull it out. If Georgia Tech can put up enough points, maybe they can win, but I had a buddy at work. He said if Pitt gets over 28 points, they will absolutely win this one, and I think they're capable. What about you, Rista? Where are you weighing in on this?
Like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is also another hard one for me. I like Haynes King a lot in this. Man, the dude is leading their rushing yards with 800, which is pretty funny, with also 2,200 passing yards. So if you can shut him down a little bit, and I think I agree with what y'all were saying about Pitt here, they could definitely make a run at this. Maybe they're just lacking experience on the quarterback front right now. As talented as the guy is, he's still, a freshman. I'll go with experience here with Haynes King and Georgia Tech, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pitt did pull this off.
I want to jump in there and say I'm leaning towards Pitt. I want Pitt to win. I think if Georgia Tech wins, though, it will not be a close game. I think if Georgia Tech wins, they're winning by multiple touchdowns.
I'm thinking more of a Notre Dame game from Pitt last week. If
Right.
that happens, yeah.
I think this line is absolutely irrelevant. I think either team is going to get momentum and going to lead with it and keep charging. I think if you look at how both of them have played out, and I don't know if that's because both teams have a kind of younger roster than the standard NCAA rosters are. So maybe you have players who are more susceptible to that momentum or we're getting beat, starting to shut down and all that. You don't have that quite that level of professionalism and confidence. So I think a 2.5 point line is ridiculous. I think this will absolutely be something that is a significant win for either party. I'm leaning towards Pitt, but you never know. That being said, this is going to be like a 2-point game now.
Bunch of safeties and block field goals.
Right.
I'll bring something else up just because when we look at some of these ACC matchups, especially this year, and these two teams are a good example of this. I feel like some of these, maybe not these blue bloods, these big name brands that you're used to seeing win a lot. Some of these smaller teams have really good quarterbacks. It's just they start to fall off a little bit, along the other positions. They're not quite as deep as some of these big teams. But I think the NIL is, starting to kind of help that a little bit for these teams. And I think that might be why you're seeing some of these unstable predictions. Like it's hard to, kind of get a grasp on some of the other stuff. So maybe that has a little bit to do with it, especially with, SMU, Georgia Tech, Pitt, all those types of teams. Definitely coming up, I think, because that talent, they're starting to get it, not just in the quarterback spot is what I'm getting at.
Right.
Well, to your point is what I've noticed this year with all the coach carousel that's been going on. It's been one of the big years where it's been hired, coming in, going there
Right.
kind of crap. Every one of the big coaches, and they put out the contract details and stuff. Every single one of these guys have a X number of roster money that they are going to be able to spend now. It's not just I'm coming here and I'm bringing my quarterback from the other school and I know these guys and this is it's no, you're going to give me $40 million to be able to build a roster, or I'm going to go somewhere else where they can give it to me. I mean, look at what James Franklin just did with Virginia Tech. That's what he was snooping around for. He wanted to make sure that he had enough backing to build a team, get the quarterback, get the offensive line, find his running back, get that star safety. And at Virginia Tech, I think you can do that because I don't necessarily think you need $40 million to build that team. But we'll see. I just it's interesting to see the changing of the dynamics with the NIL and everything coming in now. It's not just, hey, we just need this coach and he'll figure it out. It's, well, this coach is coming and we got to make sure he has this much money to spend and you make sure he has this facility for that player. And where's my VR room? I mean, come on. What's going on? So it's just it's weird seeing it change. It's getting very much more NFL-y, and the money's getting there too.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily. I mean, I like the more entertaining games that you're getting across the board. I like that you are getting players compensated for putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment. But I do not like the prima donna aspect that you're getting and that sense of entitlement. But that seems to be across the wave culturally, So we don't even need to touch on that, but. I think it's ridiculous. In your contract, as a college football coach, you don't need the bowl of all green M&Ms.
Speaking of prima donnas, are you trying to cue us up for this next SEC matchup with the Kentucky Wildcats going up against Vandy and Pavia?
Oh, man. Pavia is doing what he needs to do to try to keep his NFL stock in the future relatively high. And not the biggest fan of it all, but I think what we're trying to see I think what he is trying to become is a character on par with Scatabo. So I predict in this game particularly, you're going to see him put his body out there a lot more, and we're going to see a lot more just hard hitting, some impacts. Like I said, putting his body on the line, making a statement, saying, hey, I am here. eyeballs are on me. Give me the money so you make the money. Because Vandy, they have a shot. They have a playoff. They've got everything that they want, but I think Pavia is absolutely on Team Pavia at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think the question of this game is whether or not Vandy wins. I think it's just, is Vandy going to cover? Is Kentucky going to be capable of keeping them from doing that? And I will say in the Wildcats defense, or
it's 8.5 now, by the way.
I think that they've built enough momentum after the past 3 wins, 2 of which were over SEC opponents, which they held to 7 points or less. That was Auburn and Florida. And I think I could see this game potentially looking a lot like that Ole Miss game in week 2. But because of that, I think that Vandy obviously going to win, but I don't think they cover. And I do think that we're going to go over.
Okay.
What about you, Reese? What are you thinking, man?
So interesting that you said some of that. I think I agree with you. I think Vandy's going to win. I think if they don't win or don't cover, it's because they don't show up to this game because they're just looking ahead. I don't see them doing that. They've played pretty hard every week, as much as I dislike Pavia sometimes. But they do a pretty good job of going out there and doing what they're supposed to do and stay pretty disciplined every week. I think Lee has done an excellent job there. So I like Vandy in this game. I have Kentucky. They did look good against Ole Miss in week 2, I think. I know they lost, but they made that a really competitive game. And then I see them play against Georgia, and where they just have opportunities and just shoot themselves in the foot type of thing. And I think if you're Kentucky, that's probably where you get a little upset with them this year is when you got those opportunities, you have to capitalize.
You have to execute.
Yeah, to put yourself in these games. So, I think Vandy's going to win this one and on to the next one.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that, Reese. I've liked Vandy the past 2 years. To your point, I really like the coach too. Diego, I was Team Diego for a long time, and then he kind of showed some blips in his personality I wasn't a big fan of, as far as being a leader of a team and possibly going to the NFL. That's just PR stuff that you can clean up, and he tried real hard to do that, and I think he's done enough to curtail that. But as far as him on the field, I think this kid is a stud. I don't think he's going to have a great future in the NFL just because I don't think he's very big. He'd have to have some kind of Drew Brees stuff going on for that to be a real deal. Even though Drew Brees is, he wasn't known to be a runner, but he was known to be squirrely and how to not get hit and find his holes. So, and I see a lot of that with number 2 here. I see him squirrel around, just do the scramble drill stuff and make magic happen every single week. He has big moments in big games. He stubbed his toe against Bama. And I don't know if that says more about Bama or maybe they got in his head or whatever it was. But, because, being a Bama fan, I'll be the first one to tell you they have been very inconsistent this year. And it pisses you off as a fan. You just want to see him get better in every aspect across the board every week. And I don't think Vandy's had to do that because they've been putting good football together all year. Defensively, offensively, I like what they're doing. I don't see any scenario where UK comes into Vandy and makes any kind of fuss, especially not 1 week before we get into the end of the season. And you're really making that playoff run. I think they're focused. I think the coach is going to make sure they're focused to know what's ahead of them because the future is ahead of them. If they win out, they're in, man. So we'll see what happens. Bright. Yeah, I mean, they've got everything they want in front of them, to Dude's point earlier. And they're going over. I think it's going to be a big point game. I do think they're going to cover, and I obviously think Vandy's going to win. Nashville can be a hard place to play, man, especially with the fan base energized the way they have been the past couple years. They are making it loud out there, and it's not. I think what they have 40,000. 50,000 capacity there. It's not massive, but even with that crowd, they can shut out audio for an offensive line. So it's going to be a rough day for Kentucky, and I don't necessarily say I hate to see that, but it kind of is what it is.
I'll tell you this: if Kentucky were to win today, this would be the biggest upset surprise to me out of all of these games. I think
I'd give you that for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Barring some absolute upset, but from everything we've discussed, yeah, hands down, this one would be out there. I think you got Texas, Oklahoma, Vandy. They're all vying for that. We could potentially slip in here. So Vandy's coming to play. I'm in line with pretty much everything that y'all put out there for it. I think this will be an entertaining game, even if the outcome is pretty much, I don't want to say set in stone, but it's where everybody's looking at it and thinks the same thing. I think it's still going to be a great game. And what I will be looking for more is the Pavia show.
Yeah.
And to your point, Brian, on his size, I think that what you're going to see with Diego is at least a 15-pound increase over this offseason. I think he is absolutely going to put some meat on him. And like I said, I think he's going to lean more into that scatterbo aspect. I don't think that he is looking for a long NFL career, but I think he is absolutely going to try to make it there and make something. So he's going – this is a game that he has to display. He'll have another opportunity to display what he can do, but I think he is absolutely going to be hard-hitting, hard knocks, smacking around. He'll be a little squirrely, but I think he's going to put his body out there when he needs to, just to show that he's capable. And then if he puts that little bit of extra meat on in the offseason, that's when you have some NFL teams being, all right, we could squeeze several years out of this kid right here. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, if you're big picturing it for him and he's wanting to put the most dollars in his bank, that's the only outcome that he has. And I think that's where he's locked in going toward. So that is why I think this will be a super entertaining game, because anytime you have a quarterback that's scrambling around, it's fun. But when you have a quarterback that is putting their body into, Tebow, for instance, and granted, that is a huge size difference there across all metrics, but it's the same aspect. You are out there, you're putting your body, you're running through players. People love seeing that. Yeah. People don't like quarterback slides where you still get hit and you're actually endangering yourself even more now with all the weird penalties and rules that they have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you don't have a long NFL career, he's had a long college career.
Well, that's the
one more year,
and he's got one more year.
One more year,
and I think that's what it's coming down to. He has right now to determine if he can make that leap, and then put on the muscle to keep that leap going. And if he doesn't, I think you see him locked in another year, and then potentially that might be where it fizzles out. Yeah. So he's got to put it on the line right now, make the statement. He's playing for his future right now. He's playing for what life he wants right now.
And I think he knows that.
Yeah,
I think he knows that fully.
That's undisputable.
Yeah. He's got the right people in his ear. He seems to be having at least a decent team that's got it. Like I said, he had that misstep where he was talking all that smack and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure somebody, you don't do that. Go kiss a baby. Go shake some hands. Okay. You quit that.
Can we get a baby,
baby, and a marker. I'm going to sign this baby's forehead to show. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. I feel like if he makes a run this year, next year he might just go ahead and be the guy. If he were to do that and make that jump and put on the muscle, but to see him in the NFL would be interesting, because there's obviously going to be a team that needs a quarterback that would obviously be inclined to give him a chance, even if it was a later round or as an undrafted free agent. He will find some work in the NFL if he continues to get better, put some meat on his bones, and like to your point, just shows that he is about team. I'm going to do it. Put him on my back. I don't care. I'm here to win.
I want to talk about one more person, though, if we're talking about NFL prospects down the road. I've mentioned him a few times. There's a tight end at Vanderbilt that was signed to play as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. That's what he played in high school, all that. You have a 6'7", 250-pound tight end who can throw the ball, can run the ball, can catch the ball, can block like a solid O lineman. Mm-hmm. This man, Cole Spence, will go to the NFL. He will have a great career, and I will absolutely follow him. He's a Georgia boy. Got to have that Southern pride from Roswell, I believe. But I'm just saying, a 6'7", 250 man that is receiver-style speed, that is –
yeah, he's running a 4.6 or something like that. That's just – yeah, he's going to find some work, and it's not going to be tough. Anybody that's looking for any kind of tight end, even if it's just a guy to block for runs, he's going to come in, and then they're going to figure out he's got hands too. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. He's been a big reason of Diego's success.
Let's see, 2 years from now, maybe 3, but more than likely 2. I see him being the Travis Kelce replacement. I think we're already getting the Kelce fatigue. I think more people than not do not like him, and the engagement that advertisers are getting is more negative, but it's still engagement, so they're doing it. So I think you might see Cole Spence come up and be the new guy who puts a Band-Aid on his shoulder or drinks a Coke or, whatever the hot ticket thing is. But I think he absolutely – watch this kid. You heard it here now. He's
I
going
thought
to
that
have an
Marion
NFL
Taylor
career.
Swift was the hot ticket item. Okay. Anyway.
I don't know. I think signing deals with witches is not where you want to be. We'll move on.
But speaking of
check us out at Dude
quarterbacks to
Bros
watch
Podcast.
and people of that kind of size and caliber, I really like Bachmeier at BYU. And I think moving to that BYU at Cincinnati game, I think that is what it's going to boil down to is Bachmeier's physicality and decision-making over Sorsby. If you go back and watch that Arizona game that Cincinnati fell to, it was a pick on the first play by Sorsby, which set the tone for the rest of that entire game. So I think it'll come down to that. I think Bachmeier and the Cougars go through here. I know some people maybe even will say the dude picked a Cincinnati upset here. You want to touch on that, dude?
Well, hold on. I'm trying to get the graphics up so we can match on here. Excuse me. They did extend the line out, and it's not a big change. They just added a point to it. BYU now 2.5-point favorites. Let me check the over-under. They increased the over-under to 55.5 points. So you got a little bit more leaning into the, hey, BYU is going to do something. And at this point, I think that it is set up for BYU to make it to the playoffs, to be the team that loses immediately in the playoffs. I'm just saying what we're saying. We already know that they're not going to be the conference champs. Texas Tech, I think, handedly has said, hey, we deserve this. You don't. So they're playing for that extra slot, that group 5. I think they don't need it. I think they need to get out. I think Cincinnati needs to nut up, knock them out so we can get one of them 3 SEC teams fighting for that slot instead to have a more entertaining playoff. And I know that they think keeping BYU in is going to attract more of the West Coast people, but I think at the end of the day, people that are tuning in to watch college football are not tuning in just to watch their team or a team from their area. At this point in time, and especially when you get into college football playoffs, you're watching for better games. So if you turn on a round 1 game and you see that Team A is beating Team B by 2 or 3 touchdowns, you're looking at, there's some women playing tennis over here. I got some Croatians playing mud ball, whatever that is. I'm going to watch this, It's not what you want. Let's get better games. And I'm speaking to you, playoff committee, because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. They don't deliberate in there. There's no big ordeal. Matter of fact, I have the exact formula for the BCS. And if you plug the numbers and run it through there, you get the exact same thing they put out there. So at this point, I'm convinced they're still just running off a computer model and then getting up there and trying to make a show to explain, this is this. I don't know if you watched the last show that they did where they're rolling out their reasons for putting on that's absolutely asinine. Well, Bama doesn't have enough rushing yards, so because of that, we're not going to do them here. But, we'll put the team that they beat over here because they've got more rushing yards. And you literally see him flip-flop on his explaining how it all makes sense multiple times. It's a very memeable moment, we'll say. You can just it's awful. And I think I think college football fans, the ones that are at least informed or really searching for that, would appreciate not being lied to and would appreciate it being, we've got the computer model here. This is what it's put out. This is what
you want to watch. This is what we're going to give you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rista, where do you weigh in on BYU and Cincy?
I'm not 100% sold, even if they win this game and lose again to Texas Tech in their conference game, that they'll get to go to the playoffs. They lost pretty bad to Texas Tech the first time, so if that were to repeat itself, I'm not saying it won't happen, but and they got to beat Cincinnati today.
Hold on. Let me jump in, Forrest. BYU is absolutely marked to be in the playoffs because that is the only team they can put in the playoffs that Notre Dame has a chance of beating, and that is why it's Notre Dame versus BYU in the. I know, I'm telling you, that's exactly how it's lined up. So that is what is being forecast out there. You'll have a Notre Dame versus BYU first round, so that Notre Dame can then go on to the second round, and you have them playing who? Indiana.
So
do you think a BYU Indiana game is better than a BYU Texas game, a BYU pick a any SEC game? I mean, just anyway, off the soapbox. Sorry, Forrest.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm just going to use common sense out of this if I were to pick the teams up there. Not saying BYU wouldn't deserve a chance at it if that rolled out, but I do like them to win today, I think, and continue on. I do like what Cincinnati's done, so I'll be pulling for them, but I think BYU wins the game today.
Cincinnati plays TCU next after. They should beat TCU as well.
Yeah,
so I'm
probably
speaking out loud. Sorry.
Yeah, well, Cincinnati's kind of like Georgia Tech for me this year. I was real high on Georgia Tech, and then they got their ass drugged by NC State, and it was ugly. They just looked like crap. Didn't look like the same team, and they haven't looked quite right since. I mean, they've won, but it's not been this. I don't have the same feeling. Cincinnati did the same thing for me. I was high on these guys. I thought that they were doing really good this year. I thought they were going to make a serious run at the playoffs, and then they got their ass drugged by Utah, and it was just, what do you do, man? But do you see the same thing with BYU? They got stomped by Texas Tech. So it's just,
well, Texas Tech, everybody else in the Big 12.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's obviously a size difference there, we'll say. But I'm with you guys. I think BYU's plugged into the playoffs so that they can lose early. I don't see them as a top tier team, even with their ranking, with their schedule. I feel like just about any SEC team could probably beat them. That's me being a homer, but it's just
Florida, Auburn.
We're bigger than they are. And, when it comes down to it, if you win in the trenches, you're probably going to win the game, especially if you're dominant on both sides of the ball. And the SEC has a tendency of having some big boys down there. So, I'm up on my soapbox being a homer right now, but I just don't see it. So, unfortunately, I think Cincinnati continues to trickle off. I think BYU obviously wins the game and covers. I do think we're going to go over because there's going to be some back and forth. That Cincinnati offense does have the ability to score a lot of points. And I think we're going to see points scored, but I do think BYU handily beats Cincinnati to plug into next week, to plug into the playoff, to all of Dude and GB's points. So, unfortunate for them because, like I said, I was very high on Cincinnati. I was really hoping we were going to see them dig in, get both sides of the ball right, but they hit the roadblock and they never quite recovered, kind of like a couple other teams that I was high on this year, and they just stubbed their toe, and it hasn't been quite the same since. So unfortunately,
still got Indiana.
Hey,
that was your week one. Love it.
Yeah,
and they're here.
Well, they're the last one, so
there can be only one though. That's how it works. I've seen Highlander.
So we'll see how it pans out, man. It'll be interesting. I think it's going to be a good game, and it'll be fun to watch. But BYU wins.
Yeah,
I think. Man, that is the last game. That's our last big game to talk about today. So we're getting to the end of our segment here, boys. Is there anything you want to bring back in, button up, put a bow on it?
Check back in with us next Tuesday. We'll be streaming live again, preparing you for your holiday matchups.
Yeah, big games coming up.
Matchups. This is going to be classic. And they've spaced it out even more, where you're going to have more games on more days and more slots. I mean, you can literally take the whole week off, sit down, gain 5 to 10 pounds from extra calories, and never move and be entertained the whole time.
Speaking of eyeballs,
week.
Speaking of eyeballs, if you want to get to know your Dude Bros a little better, we do have several channels here. We got the Dude Bros Rewind, got the lead on that down here. We got the Dude Bros Podcast, got the lead on that over here. And Reese likes to plug in like me wherever we can. So if you want to check us out, check us out. But as far as sports ball is concerned, we've been your dude bros. This has been Sports Ball Talk. This has been our deep dive in, and check us out on Tuesday for the next pick show. Thanks, guys.
Thank you much.